Welcome to the PROcast, where we invite business doers who are changing lives by sharing their stories, their strategies and tactics, and who bravely talk about their failures that actually led to their biggest successes. Now it's time to go pro with Jeremy Torres. Today on the PROcast, our guest is the proud creator of the Give to Be Great series, in which he's authored 3 books and courses entitled The Giver's Mindset, The Giver's Lifestyle, and The Giver's Lifelong Learning. E.A. Csolkovits was born the son of a milkman in Chicago, Illinois. At the age of 16, started his own business career as a janitor, selling janitorial services to business owners. However, at age 19, E.A.'s life would take a turn when he met a man named Sam Robbins. A millionaire businessman from Detroit, Michigan, Sam took E.A. under his wings to begin a mentorship program for him. And the rest, as they say, is history. Here to tell his fantastic story is E.A. Csolkovits.
Hey, thank you, Jeremy. Thank you so much for having me on your great show.
You're welcome. There's edit number 1 right there from the kickoff. I double click the button, but that's all right. How are you doing today, EA?
I'm doing absolutely great. Thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely. We've been talking for quite some time, really, to get this going. And then, funny enough, as the world works, we're just happen to be on some other book kickoffs, Zoom calls together. That was pretty neat to see your name pop up there because it is a unique name. So it's great how the world works like that, right? Like synchronicity, and you start talking to people and they start popping up other places in your life.
Yeah. So, well, and I remember at the one event, I thought, wait, I know that name. Where is that? And I go, oh, I'm on his show. Coming up. It's great. Yeah.
There's not many Jeremy Torsks, but there are very fewer E.A. Csolkovits in the world.
That's right. And it's okay because until I was 12, I thought my name was Go Chop Wood. So, it doesn't even.
Mine was Get Me a Beer.
Yeah. I love beer me.
Yeah, beer me. So I start this show off the same way every way. It's the only question I ask every single guest, and that is to tell me something good.
All right, great. Happy to do so. I can share with you that I've become a huge advocate and am for mentoring and having a mentor because of how it impacted my life, Jeremy.
Yes.
As you mentioned, I was son of a milkman, and I'm sure when I was 5 years old, helping my father on his milkman route. Later on, they switched to plastic bottles and gallons, probably because of all the glass ones I broke. And then, of course, I became a janitor, as you mentioned, at the ripe old age of 16. And I didn't mind that, Jeremy, because business was always picking up.
Yes.
What? Anyway, so yeah, exactly. So, but 2 extraordinary things happened in my life while I was a janitor. One was I was able to be bonded at 16 years old. So I mean, it's insured. And if my buffer hit some piece of equipment, an insurance company would pay for it, right? Well, because of that, also, I was able to be in expensive homes. And I cleaned every Wednesday the home of a lady who, when I say her name, it won't mean anything. But when I make the movie reference, it'll mean something to the listeners.
Okay.
The lady's house I cleaned, her name was June Martino. And every single Wednesday I was in, $1 million home back then, and I was 16. Full-time maid, full-time butler, had a Rolls Royce in the garage. By the way, loved cleaning the garage because I had to pull the Rolls Royce out.
Yes.
And that was different than at night. I would go home and drive my Rolls Canardly, which, rolls down one hill and can hardly make it up the next. Right. So here I am sitting in this Rolls Royce, 10 times of my life income. Right. So this lady, there was a movie out a few years back. It's going to be on for a number of years. And it's called The Founder. It's with Ray Kroc and McDonald's.
Yeah.
And
Keaton movie.
Yeah, Michael Keaton plays Ray Kroc. Now, I can tell you at the beginning of the movie, it says this is based on a true story. That's true. It's based on a true story. It's not the true story. All right. But the lady, and during the movie, Michael Keaton, Ray Kroc, is talking to a lady outside his office all the time. June this, June this, June this. That lady is the lady whose house I cleaned every Wednesday.
Wow.
That's June Martino, right? Who, when I met her, had the 3rd most controlling stock in McDonald's and was already an icon in the whole area. I grew up in the Chicagoland area, in the Oak Brook area, which is where the world headquarters of McDonald's was. So the whole thing during my lifetime, I witnessed personally the whole phenomenon.
The whole
One day I
progression.
asked June while being in her home, right? Cleaning it. She knew who I was. And that was amazing to me, Jeremy. She was so approachable,
Yes.
so easy to talk to. I mean, and I always thought that, to be successful, you had to be a jerk and an idiot and, me only, me first, push the other guy
Yes.
down. She was so the opposite. And to me, that was a huge curiosity. I thought, man, this woman's worth more zeros than I got fingers and toes. And look at how approachable she is. And one day I asked her about McDonald's. She brought me in the kitchen the entire day, one-on-one with this snot-nosed 16-year-old, tells me the whole story. And from the time Ray was a milkshake mixer salesman all the way up to virtually the minute we're sitting in her kitchen and everything in between. I mean, so I heard it all firsthand, what happened step by step. And she told me that the thing that had the most impact on her, when I asked her why she at one point worked for nothing, no money at all, she told me she believed in Ray. And I remember thinking, man, if I could just find my Ray Kroc.
Yes.
I mean, someone that could, here I am, son of a milkman, burnt out janitor. I think my fun time is getting free songs on a jukebox at 2 a.m. when I'm cleaning a bowling alley.
Yes.
And,
yeah.
and here's this woman and I'm in this $1 million house cleaning it. It didn't work out too bad for her. I need one of them.
Yes.
So I thought,
or one of her.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought, if I could just find a Ray Kroc, where would I find my Ray Kroc? Where would he be? Someone that I don't even know what to ask.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I don't know. All I know is I don't know it. That's all I know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? I think
but there's something to know. So now you're curious.
Yeah.
You start opening yourself up to that. There is something to know.
And I didn't know what mentor was. I didn't know how to spell it. I think I spent all my hooked on phonics money on something else. And so I realized if I could find my Ray Kroc. And then a couple of months later at the same janitorial service, we got a phone call in. This guy opening a diamond store in Chicago he's in from Michigan, need to see some carpeting. And my boss sent me over. And first of all, as I look back and reflect, the odds of all this happening is so extraordinary.
Yeah.
It is beyond, it's one of those things that I put it out there and got answered. I mean, it was just that simple. Right. And so this man I met in from Detroit, he became my mentor. He became the father I never had, even though I had a father. I became
the rich father, the rich dad, so to speak.
Exactly right, as Kiyosaki would be happy to hear you say.
Right.
And certainly I became the son he never had, even though he had a son. And I was very blessed. And he taught me so many things, that even today I've never seen in a book about. He was a puritanical genius, not in my life, and I'm sure you have too, Jeremy. I've met thousands of educated idiots.
Oh, yeah.
They got all the book knowledge. They can spew it all back at you. Zero execution and zero implementation skills.
Yes, right.
They simply have never done it.
Right.
And when a person has done it, what they bring with them is all the things that didn't work, all the mistakes that the educated idiot doesn't have that experience because they just learned it in a book and they're spewing it back at you.
Right.
My mentor was a puritanical genius to share with you. And again, I'm really, as I share these stories, I'm sharing stories about what happened with me to hopefully give insights to your listeners of how important it is to have a mentor. So my mentor shared with me what it was like growing up in the Great Depression. And he said, people were jumping off of buildings, committing suicide because they lost their fortunes. He said miles long soup kitchen lines to get one bowl of soup. He said things were desperate. He said, for some of our meals, we ate cardboard.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah, I know. I believe me, I tell you. And then when you're hearing it from the person that did, it adds a whole new perspective, as he's reliving it, right? And he said, one day I was walking around, I saw this guy in the back of a store, and the place was empty. It was like a ghost town everywhere. No one was buying anything. And so they were trying to find food, literally. And so he went in and just started talking with the guy, just to do something, right? Turns out he was the owner of the place. It was a sewing machine store filled with sewing machines, all collecting dust. He was the only guy in there. Then he said, I own the store. I own all these sewing machines. I paid for them. He said, there's no customers because people want food. They're not buying sewing machines. And he said, and they're all just collecting dust. I even let my employees go. I couldn't I couldn't afford
Sure.
employees. So my mentor had this flash, and he thought,
Inspiration.
said to the man, well, how about if I help you sell some of these sewing machines? I said, man, what do you got in mind? I'm open to anything.
Yeah.
He said, well, people can't afford to buy sewing machines. He said, so how about if we sell them on payments? And he said, and we split the payments. He said, and I'll back the sewing machine. So if someone walks with one, you're not on any money. And the guy said, go for it, man. Do it. No problem. They're just collecting dust. They're own free and clear. It'd be great to have one leave here, right? So the next thing my mentor did, which was really extraordinary, he put together a flyer, and the flyer said women to work from home.
Wow.
He told me he never was able to totally catch up with the responses because no one was hiring.
Sure.
So the fact that anyone was hiring during the Great Depression, it was extraordinary. So they were just contacting him like crazy. And here's what he did. He put together a way where these women to work from home would buy the sewing machine on payments. He would give them the patterns to sew from.
Mm-hmm.
He would give them the material to make the garments with. And he would guarantee he would buy the garments from them, thus guaranteeing their income. So they could not only make the payments on a sewing machine, but also have an income for food and things that people desperately needed. He wasn't done yet.
Right.
Then
He couldn't be. That's a partial plan.
He bought the clothing from them, sold it to stores.
Yes.
As deep discounted handmade quality clothing. And the stores then were able to sell to customers at deep discounted, high quality clothing, less expensive than the other clothing they had and better quality. In 18 months, while people are jumping off of buildings, Jeremy, multi-mile long soup kitchen lines, in 18 months, he earned $1 million. And I have to share with you, any of your listeners that say, wham,
Yes.
business isn't good, I'll tell them my mentor story and I'll say, what's your excuse again?
Right. Exactly.
And the thing he told me, Jeremy, is he said, it was actually quite simple. I just figured out each one of their problems and I solved them for them.
Right. Exactly.
The business owner had, what I'm doing these sewing machines. I'm going to help you move them. Everyone needed to earn income no matter what. He said he built this women's network. He built this community of women working from home, branched into states, multi-states, seemingly overnight. They were having trouble keeping up with the sewing machines for him, if you could imagine how crazy that is in that time. And he said, and then of course the stores and ultimately the customers. So my mentor said with me, you're going to get tackled 1,000 times in your lifetime. He said, and fortunes are going to come and go out of your life. And anyone that says they haven't had the fortunes come and go out of their lives, he said, start to distance yourself because they're next. It's going to happen to them next, and it's going to be a whopper if it hasn't happened yet. They've been saving up. He said, so when that happens, remember this. You're never going to have money problems. You'll have idea challenges.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I did that whole thing. He said, I did that whole thing with none of my own money.
Right.
All they did, $1 million during the Depression, which is a tough time to earn $1 million. Today, that could easily be worth $15-20 million in today's dollars.
Absolutely.
So he said, you'll have idea challenges, not money problems. He said, every business, every enterprise, I don't care how big they are.
Right.
At one point started with one idea in one mind.
Well, and by the same token, right now as we speak, there are hundreds of thousands of businesses, right? Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. What do you think in America? How many businesses, period?
Certainly over hundreds of thousands.
Okay. And every single one of them has a challenge. So just figure out something that you're good at, and then get in contact with those people, those companies that would have those challenges, and solve their problem. They'll throw buckets of money at you for that. They all throw buckets of money to solve their problems. It's just about you having the idea and conveying that in a way that's not, pushy or overdone. That's what the beautiful thing about social media, especially LinkedIn, is if you could just put out there the problem that you solved, they'll call you. That's what happens to us. People call us all day long because we put our programs out there in a very easy way that tell people how we solve business problems, and they call us. So anyone could do it if you just figure out how to solve other people's problems.
Well, and I really did, and I want to share with you. I love the way you said it. That was perfect articulation. You were like Robin Hood splitting the arrow with an arrow, there, buddy. But the
I give myself a fireball for
yeah,
that.
you deserve one. You deserve one. And I can share with you that I didn't make up any of this stuff.
Yeah.
I was like a conduit, and the
Right.
part was I realized I can do it. What?
Yo,
Anyway,
bam.
so
The pun machine.
yes, punishment begins. All right, so listening to my mentor, and then at 19 years old, I asked him the question. I said, Sam, will you teach me everything? I mean, don't hold back.
Yeah.
Teach it all to me. And he said, okay, I will, but I want one thing from you. And he said, when the time is right, and you will know that time, I want you to teach as many people as you can everything I taught you. So at 19 years old, Jeremy, I made an oath. I made a vow to my mentor that today has manifested as Givers University.
Yes, it's really beautiful, because that give back, the paying, it's not even paying it forward. It's really paying it back forward, because you never can make up for what he did for you, most likely, in your heart. No matter how many people you help, it's never going to be enough for where we come from, the humbleness, the place where we understand what it means to be maybe not eating cardboard, but hand to mouth for sure, and probably a couple of days going by without eating the best of foods. And so when we have it, now that we know that combination, and it doesn't seem to be the worry. Money isn't a worry; it's the other things helping people. Seems like it's a job that you can never do enough.
As one of the final thoughts to sort of share with your listeners in their interest of time was, my mentor said, and at 19, he says, let me teach you about this thing called life. I thought, boy, this is going to be interesting. Life. He goes, picture in your mind this scale. And on the right side of the scale is all the things you're going to get in your life, all the things you're going to receive, all the income, all the benefits, all the great things. He said, on the left side of the scale, all the things you're going to give and contribute, and income, and all the things you're going to give, investments and helping people. He said, now what's interesting about the scale is it's never out of balance.
Oh, wow.
He said, even statically for a half moment, if it seems like it's out of balance, it strives for balance and always balances itself. So he said, the next thing I share with you will be the hard part. He said, but once you get your head around it, he said, you'll be unstoppable. He said, here it is. Forget about the right side.
Right.
Forget about all the things you're going to get. And he said, and make it your daily goal and your daily objective to heave so much on that left side, because your new daily goal is to get that scale out of balance. To put so much on that left side. And he said, when you do that, you never have to think about what you'll get on that right side.
Yes.
You'll never be able to spend the money you'll make.
Right. Yeah. And that's pretty much, when I tell my kids about money, about why I focus on money sometimes, it's because it takes money to do things. It takes money to help people. At the end of the day, it's the easiest way to define how you want to help people is by defining it by money, and then turning that money into deeds or gifts or setting up foundations or whatever that is. But it all starts with having a money mind or a money mentality. And you got to also equate value, and value is displayed and expressed by money. When I can solve your problem, I can't say that I can solve your problem by making you just happy or making your employees happy. I have to say, in the result is going to end with your revenue going up, profits going up by dollars. So how many dollars? Well, let's take a look. And so you have to understand how money works. And that's why, my kids, when they're younger, they're saying, we're doing the grow and think rich and grow, or grow and think and grow rich, Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
Challenge, or the mastermind. And it's about money. But how much money will I have by this many date? And they kept saying, well, I don't, it doesn't feel right. And I was like, and that's a good thing. That means that my kids aren't money centric. But it's the money, it represents the giving. And you can't give without money. You can give effort, but you'll end up making money. People will throw money at you. And so you have to understand what money is, what it represents, what it values, what its value is to others. And then you're right. And the Buddhists, I like what the Buddhists say, and that's this: all unhappiness comes from want. And so as soon the more you can get rid of want in that right hand, the happier you're going to be. and stop counting these things that you're collecting over here on the right, and those that will equate also your happiness and peace, and you're able to focus on other people's problems if you don't really have a lot of upset and thoughts in your head about wanting things.
You mentioned Napoleon Hill, and one of the funders that helped fund many of his writings was a gentleman by the name of W. Clement Stone, who owned Combined Insurance. I was from Chicago and actually flew on some flights with W. Clement Stone doing Easter seal work. And at that point, he was a billionaire. He literally already was a billionaire. And I'm sitting next to this guy, and I'm thinking, he's a billionaire. Yeah. I'm going to ask him a couple of questions. Yeah. And so he gave me the best definition for money. Because I asked him, I said, Clem, that's what he liked everyone called. By the way, when this guy got off, I'm 6'1", and when we were at the airport, he started running. So, when he walked, you felt like you were running to keep up with this guy, right? So we were on the plane, and I said, Clem, how would you define money? And I'll never forget. He looked at me, stared back, and like in an instant said, money is power.
Yes. Yeah.
To do good.
To do good.
Money is power to do good. And I have to share with you that I found that to be true. And in his later years, where people are trying to pay their bills, he actually went on. His goal was to help countries learn how to become self-sufficient. So
when you
great blessings.
By that level about helping countries, you have really done something in your life.
When most people are just trying to figure out how to pay their bill, right? Or their phone bill or something.
Right.
So I for these reasons is why I became such a strong advocate for mentor. And any of your listeners, if you don't have a mentor right now, in my world, we have a name for that. We call it naive. That's what we call it. And get a mentor. There are so many of them, and they will know the difference whether you're just doing it to try to. June Martino, she would have known if I was just trying to get next to her.
Absolutely.
But she knew I really genuinely want to know what happened with McDonald's. They will know, and those people are out there. And one of the things Jeremy does with his podcast, this is a form of mentoring. Listen to it, subscribe to his show, play it, listen to it a few times over and over again, and apply the things Jeremy's teaching you in his podcast. It's mentoring.
And you said it. I'm learning a lot right along with my listeners. It's almost a selfish giving, right? Because people get these things through the show, but I get it through the show to give. And so I counted just as much for me as I do for anyone. And that's the reasons why it is becoming successful is because it's so genuinely for my learning and growth to help others. And that is kind of a twofer for me. So.
And there's the difference between taking and receiving. So you receive those things and you don't need to take them because you're given.
Right. And so let's talk about Givers University for a second, because I know you put so much into it. So the website, or to contact EA, it's www.giversuniversity.com. So that's plural, giversuniversity.com. And you've got, I don't know how dated this is, the Giver's Mindset, the Giver's Lifestyle, and the Giver's Lifelong Learning, which I am a member of the Lifelong Learning Board of Life, just never stop learning. I don't know about the Giver's Lifelong Learning. I should check into that and see what I could do to contribute because I'm such a big fan of lifelong learning. Awesome. But I've heard you on other shows, of course, and I've heard other programs that you also are involved in. What would you like some of the listeners to check out today?
Really, we have a free newsletter. Go to our website, giversuniversity.com, sign up for the free newsletter. As soon as they sign up, they're going to get an email that says, do you want to talk with these people? We're not spammers. Right. If you don't respond to that, you will get nothing else from us.
Love that.
The moment you respond to that, then 2 hours later, you're going to get probably one of the best checklists we have. It's called the 25 Do's. One of the things we do, and just a 1 minute thing, is first of all, I say to listeners, we love everybody. We love everybody. And we teach people how to separate the person we love from their deeds, which we may not love. And we teach, in one word, discernment. This is how you discern in your relationships. And we do this by very granular, we even teach checklists where you can look. So when we say giver, we're not labeling a person. We don't label people. We're labeling the deeds of that person, giver deeds. When we say taker, we're not labeling the person as a taker. They're taker deeds. Big difference.
Yes.
So they'll get 2 hours after they respond and say, yes, I want to talk to Givers University. They'll get an email from us that has the 25 Do's checklist. It's an actual checklist. We want them to print it off. It's free. Use it. Use it in discerning with your relationships on who you should bring in closer and who you should be respectfully distancing. Then once a week on Thursday morning, they'll get a newsletter called the Giver's Toolbox. Every week, on Thursday morning only, we give an email that helps them get another tool in their relationship discernment. So we don't blow up their email box. I hate that. You get 6 emails a day, so we don't do that. So it's a benefit. It's a freebie. It's a way we contribute, and they learn what we're working on. And we love to be able to share with them. And Jeremy, I think you have an awesome show, and and the service you provide for businesses, the clarity that you give of being able to discern as quickly as possible where they need help and providing it for them, because so many of the businesses are too close to be able to see that. And you give a great perspective in what you do in your podcast. So thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. And it's the gift of doing, like you said, I've been through the mill a few times, and finally would end up able to make a mill a few times after that. I just made that up. Hold on a second.
It works. It works, though. I'm going to use it.
I'm going to write a book, Through the Mill to Make a Mill. You got to go through the mill to make a mill.
It's the only way.
That's a good one. So you can have it, but I need credit for 3 times.
It's yours. It's yours. It's yours.
But it is the doing that you learn, especially the downfalls and the down times. But to these tools, I'm interested in those, and I think it's worth going into some overtime to talk about what are some of these tools look like. And secondly, I guess more importantly, first, how do you distance yourself from people that you've known your whole life? Maybe it's your brothers and sisters and family who are telling you you're nuts. You're not going to be able to do things that you want to do the way you want to make them. That happened to me my whole life until I was homeless, until I chose homelessness to get away from that. How do you cut those people out respectfully? Because I had to do it, quite honestly, brutally.
I understand. I know exactly what you mean. And it's a great question. In fact, it probably is among the top 5 questions I get asked. I've got a family member that's being a little takerish. What should I do about that? Because I love them. You love them. You don't want to hurt their feelings. And, so what do you do? And I share with them, first of all, one of the best things to do is what's called third party. One of the best things for your listeners who maybe have a family member being a little takerish, forward this podcast to them. And just say, you know what? I heard this really thought-provoking podcast. And they were talking about givers and takers. And it was a really interesting listen. Do me a favor, listen and give me your feedback. That third party helps drain some of the emotion out of it. And you never know. Also, we teach, because if they become a part of our newsletter and every week they get the Giver's Toolbox, we're doing a segment now. It's 21 segments long. And it basically is how to form your giver's community. There are a lot of taker communities out there, and we teach people to discern the difference. What's the difference between a taker community and a giver community? And we teach people how to build, step by step, a giver community around them using the acronym DISCERN, DISCERN. Each one of those has a step, right?
Yeah.
And we walk them through those steps, and I'm just going to say them real quick because then people can go and find out more. But the word discern stands for D is decide, I invite, S for seed, C convene, E established, R rotate, and N numbers. Now, they can learn what every one of those mean by going to our YouTube channel, and there's a 2-minute clip on every one of those things I just said. They can go to a playlist that's called How to Build Your Own Givers Community, and we call them Juntos, which means a group of people have gotten together for a common purpose. And we walk through each one of those steps I just said. Yes. And it's actually going to be 21 2-minute clips. Perfect. Starting at what's the difference between a giver and a taker community? What's the difference? Yeah. All the way through forming them, because even in Napoleon Hill's book, Napoleon does an excellent job of explaining what the mastermind is. Mm-hmm. And since it was so novel that day, he never really goes into how do you do it? Right. And I've seen many mastermind groups where they come together in 2 or 3 months, they just sort of dissipate, right? Mm-hmm. And they go their wayside. So, and that intrigued me, and it became a curiosity. And we actually formulated then, why did they dissipate? Why did they fall apart? Where's the glue that's missing? Right. So we put together 21 2-minute clips. Just go to YouTube and put in one word, Givers University, and that's our YouTube site. And our interviews are on there, but also the 21 clips on how to form your own givers community. And also they'll get updated on that from our weekly newsletter we put out on Thursday mornings that goes to everyone as well. So thank you for offering that. And go to the YouTube channel, because that's really where in 2-minute clips, they hear the whole thing from beginning to end.
And I will put those in the descriptions, not only here in the YouTube channel, but on every podcast if you're listening to. These descriptions will be the links will be in the descriptions, as well as probably the definition or the acronym there of discernment, because discern, I want to probably add that in there for an added value. Plus the websites to get those checklists and to sign up for the email, so you can get the checklist and the weekly tools to put in your toolbox. I'm going to be on that in about an hour. So keep an eye out for me.
Thank you, Jeremy, for having me on your great show.
You got it. Thank you very much. And I want to thank everyone who's listening, who's still really you guys are coming on fast and furious right now. Our subscriptions are going up. We're coming up on 1,000 subscription. I'm going to come up with a gift for that 1,000th subscription. Probably need a prescription after you listen to a few of these to get rid of your headache, because we go so fast here. So many great people come on to share this information. And I wanted to tell you about Pick Cherries. Pick Cherries, what EA was talking about, send your family member this episode. With Pick Cherries, you can go right to the 60-second clip that he's talking about and pick that cherry and send that over to your family member. They can then listen to that on their phone, through their social media, through their email, through their YouTube channel, however you send it to them. And then they could listen to the rest of the episode and look at the rest of the episodes that Podcaster has. So Pick Cherries, great platform for sharing podcast. And if you're podcasters, forget about the post-editing. Post your 60-minute hotspots there on your social media like never before. And we thank you and remind you to go pro.